You can clearly see I'm not right back. It's Sunday morning. I get up. I didn't get up early. I got up. I'm awake. I get up. My God, it's cold. It was 16 degrees yesterday. I drove in a summer suit. +3 in rain. I got my toque, eh? Cold as a bugger out there. This weather is ridiculous. Whatever. So we got all the videos done except the most important ones, and those are the 2-year-old baby ones right now. Had some pretty impressive miles yesterday. I love to see, we didn't have to go fast. I love to see the horses working hard, especially when you don't have to go fast. And you really get to see that polish, right? You really get to see the ones that look really good. And then the ones that are struggling to get to the next level, you see them working hard. But you always get to see the ones that aren't also, right? Next week we'll go over what horses I put in the sale. I think there was a lot of horses I entered. Some of them won't end up there, but some of them will. And I think the 2-year-olds that are on that list, you probably know who they are just by the way they've been acting lately. McNugget was one. For those of you out there that's seen it. Yeah, Twinsburg was lazy training down, but McNugget's very lazy. Listen, she's got the same time frame as everybody else on this list. You have 30 days from right now. 30 days from today, they'll be heading to the sale. Quite a big truck by the looks of things. Now it looks like Sally DeVee is sold. I put her on gate. I know we discussed a reserve. There's a $80-some $100 bid on her right now. That's about 11,000 Canadian. Truthfully speaking, less than what Sally DeVee is worth. I was so surprised this filly. Here's a filly that I thought was better than Book the Bet. Now, clearly she was not when she started racing this year, when we got them both racing. Book the Bet clearly excelled and Sally did not. But I still think she had a lot of work to do. She had a lot of money to make, and she fits a lot of classes in New York and Ohio. I just was a little surprised that nobody bid on her, but she's going to be sold tonight. Sale ends at 6 p.m. We won't be making any further bids, so she's gone, which frees up a stall or two to send another horse up to Jared. I'm thinking a good place for Boston Glide to be for the next couple of weeks would be training and potentially qualifying out of the pool. So that might be a good thing. Frees up another stall for some of the girls down in Jason's barn. There's going to be quite a transition, I think, as Jason finishes moving out of Ontario into Ohio for the 2019 season. 2 of our best caretakers are down there, and there's going to be quite a transition. We do have some caretakers and riders that leave this time of year. They have actual summerish jobs that they go to and they go back to. So it'll all work out, but there'll be quite a transition over the next couple of weeks. We have some 2-year-olds that will be heading down to Kevin and Harry. Some already have. Don't believe me, just watch us down with Kevin. He looks great. Trafalgar and Capistrano are with Harry, and we're going to be moving. We're going to be moving some other horses down there as well. So let's get right to it. We had a little injury report for you. 11 horses that were a little sick or had curbs or splints or whatnot. We talked about that. We talked about the horses that trained good yesterday. We touched on some other topics. We're going to get right into it and talk about the babies. Ailsun, we talked about Ailsun. She had that curb. We're going to cool. So I think I was clear enough about the curb. Just to reiterate, the curb's a little ligament at the back of the hock. There's a number of arguments as to why that curb would pop out. It happens in quite a few horses. It happened on Sunshine's Finest last year. Sunshine's Finest last year. White Tiger didn't have one. Oh, so Pine, I believe, had one. Yes, maybe had one. I mean, these are common things. It's just, and it's fixable. Very fixable, very easy to fix. Cool it out. Put the cryo gun on it. Give them another week of easy training. When you start to feel that cool out again, you're good to go. Anteros, again, going to be down for another little bit. He'll be back jogging, I suspect, in the next 6 weeks or so. As of right now, he's just being cared for in the barn. When the vet gives us the okay. Actually, that's not true. When the vet gives us the okay, he'll go in a small paddock. Then, after a couple of weeks of that, if his leg still looks really good, he'll go in a big paddock. and then we'll probably give him a month in the field. So he'll be back going. I've given everybody a soft deadline of October to have Anteros ready to go. Not the end of the world. We're going to give this colt a lot of time to mature, which is just fine. Arctic Force, Danny said he was very good yesterday. I didn't catch up to him on the video. I was ahead of him. But I know he's still got the flip-flops on. Now that the track's getting really good, we're a month out of the open house. Maybe slide those flip-flops off. I'll probably train him on Wednesday. I want to get a real feel for where he's at in his training physically and how he feels. So he'll be on my list for Wednesday to go with. Beach Boutique, she was very, very good. I'd said to Danny yesterday, make sure you get this filly up in the hunt. Make sure you get her racing up in the training set, and he moved her a couple of times. She finished up right beside us, and she was very, very good yesterday. Very impressed with Beach Boutique. Beach Bum BB made a little break on James coming out of the turn. I'm going to make a few little changes with her this week. I'm going to go with her. She's going to be on my list for Wednesday. I'm going to write this list down as I'm talking about it so it's fresh in my mind. I will be going with her on Wednesday. Ben Dover, I don't need to go with him. He was pretty good, eh? Old Ben's coming around. He looks really, really good now. Finished up his mile very strong, very fluid. Didn't put a step in. Steve said he was very good. Pretty hard to be unhappy with that. So we have on my list Arctic Force and Beach Bum BB. Bottle of Red was good. A little flat, actually, Bottle of Red. I thought she lost a tiny bit of weight. This is a filly that's been going for a long time. Very fast filly. There's a beautiful farm right over here where we have Cabernet turned out. I think I might give her just 10 days. Just 10 days. I'm going to call, I believe the lady's name is Carol. Beautiful facility. And there should be lots of grass coming up now as long as this +3 would go away. There's grass here at my house. There must be lots of grass at Carol's farm. So I think maybe we'll give Bottle of Red just 10 days. Just 10 days. Keep in mind, Bottle of Red was bought at the Goshen sale. One of the first horses we bought was Bottle of Red. So, a little downtime for the old girl will be just fine. Very, very nice filly. She's done her work very well. Maybe just 10 days in the field as a reward for her hard work. Brush Cut looked good again yesterday. Did his work very well. It's a little muddy when we went with that set, and the track was muddy in some spots and hard in other spots. Quite a transition for excuse me. Quite a transition for some of the horses, but Brush Cut did it very, very well. He's been doing it well for a while. Very happy with Brush Cut. Canadian Titan made a break at the back yesterday. Now, I trained her just a quarter of a mile the day before we went with her. I thought she was set up good. We made a few little changes. She knuckles over a lot. I'm thinking maybe we'll Baycox her. There's a couple of horses in the burn. Might have a little EPM-ish symptoms, let's say. The low end of, you know, when you look at them and you think about how they've trained and what they've done, you say, they might have EPM. It's not a big deal. These are, it's a very, very treatable thing. So we might end up putting a couple of fillies, a couple of horses on Baycox for a little bit. And Canadian Titan might be one of them. Other than that, you know, she had a real slow start. She's a real growthy, immature filly. We're going to continue to train her, but I think she's gonna have a little trouble getting over that last hurdle where she can really snap 30-second speed. But that's not for another 30 days. We'll continue to work on Canadian Titan, but I still see a very, very talented filly there. I think we just have to be wary of the fact that she may need a little bit more time than everybody else. Capistrano, another filly, need a little bit of time. Certainly not for her physique, but she had a lot of blood and a lot of mucus and a little blood in her throat. Remember when she trained that big mile 3 weeks ago? We had her scoped after, and the vet had said, you know, can you stop with her? Well, yes, we can stop training her. We were jogging her very light. I would say the same or less of a workout than she'd get running and playing in the field. So we continued with that slow workout with her. We won't train her again until we get the okay from the vet. And when we do train her, obviously, we're going to keep a close eye on that. But Capistrano, obviously an extremely talented filly, a filly that I said quite a while ago, and I'm going to continue to keep my eye on both her and Trafalgar. Cheatin' Dixie, getting a little bit better. A few little steps still, but for the most part, Cheatin' Dixie's getting much better. I know Danny likes her. He's gone with her twice. I think we really have to keep a close eye on those knees. I'm going to come in tomorrow. Actually, I got to go back to the barn today. It's Sunday. I got to go back to the barn today I might stop in and see Cheatin' Dixie, just have a feel of her knees, see if there's any more heat in one than the other. Are they a little sore? Does she need to be, do we need to not train her on Wednesday? These are things we're going to be answering today and in the coming days. And Cheatin' Dixie was great training yesterday. I was very happy with her. Classic Con, Mario said was good. Finished up strong. He really is taking to his hobbles. Trotting strong and putting speed together. Exactly what we want to see. Classy Will's starting to look better too. I'm putting him on my list. Classy Will. Now, you'll notice he made the sale list. I really think this colt's got a shot of coming forward in a big way in the next 30 days. But as I said to you, this is a time-sensitive sale. Last night was the deadline to put your horses in. I don't want them in the end of the sale, in the supplement area. I want them in the sale. And if we don't take them, we don't take them. It's 150 or 60 bucks American. And I think there's no problem at all with putting them in. So we entered quite a few horses. Classy Will was one of them. But I'm thinking this horse might come forward in the next 30 days. He's got a beautiful gait, doesn't he? Big, long gait to him. I'm going to turn him on Wednesday, and we'll see what he does. Compass Rose DC trained well again. Ricky went with her. One of the few horses Ricky stayed trotting with. She did make a break. She did make a break, but it was interference when I had made a break with Tiamo Hanover. I think Ricky's reaction time might be a little slow. But he grabbed her sideways. She made a little break, come right up trotting, and looked good. She's coming on now. So Compass Rose DC is a filly that I was happy with yesterday. Crazy Mission, he's on my list. Crazy Mission, he's been on my list before. Old Crazy. He's in the sale also, but again, a horse that has the speed and potential to come forward. We just have to work with him and get that out of him. Don't Believe Me, just watched down in Kevin's barn. Looks fantastic right now, that colt. Trained good yesterday, trained good the week before. Kevin really likes him. He's a gritty bugger, and I really like what I see from Don't Believe Me, just watch. Now next on the list is Emerald Miss. Emerald Miss trained great yesterday. A little over on the left shaft, James said. But nothing major, nothing that's a problem. I told the caretaker just to start blistering her knees, hocks, and stifles this week. Put a little blister on her, heat them up a little bit, and then we'll see what happens next week. But certainly no concerns from Emerald Miss. Enjoy My Life is out in the field now. She's going to have 3 weeks off. Excellent Nation, I'd said to you, I think if I had him in a later set, it was my fault. If I had him in a later set, I think we could have trained him. But he still has a little laceration on his scrotum where we castrated him. And Danny said, maybe not. So we just didn't. He's done lots of work, this colt. So we give him another week. Fox Valley Shazam trained good again. Looked really, really good. Mario said she was a tiny bit pacey, but he had the hobbles on her pretty loose. I know Mario likes the hobbles on them loose. I'd rather them tired and trot good than loose and make breaks. And she didn't make a break yesterday. She looked good. But Fox Valley Shazam, obviously one of our better fillies, probably going to have a pretty decent summer with her. Forged in Fire, he was on the injury list. As I said, he had that weird issue with his throat, and it was serious at one point for a little bit. I really didn't bring it up because I had no answers for anybody. It just was there. It was a freak thing, and we've had a week of freak accidents. Not a week I'm very happy about. Not a week I'm going to forget for anytime soon. Had a pimple on his throat. Pretty common, but it was in a bad spot and ended up irritating the other side of the throat and causing an ulcer, maybe caused infection. Just, I don't have a word for it. It was a frustrating week, but it looks like he's going to rebound. I saw him yesterday. He was very content in his stall, seemed really good. We're monitoring him, we're getting him looked at, and we're watching him closely. There's another colt that I think very, very highly of. I think is one of our better colts. And the time off certainly not going to hurt him. He's got that big, long gait for a little horse, and a couple of days off here and there certainly not going to hurt. Forged in Fire. Frontier Cruise popped a curb yesterday. Another horse, he'll be on the injury list. Got to cool that out. Got to re-cryo it. He'll be fine. We got to cut it. Got to get a couple of them cryoed. Got to have a cryo list here for the vet. Cryo list. We get Frontier Cruise and Ailsund. Gotcha. Frontier Cruise, so trained good yesterday, worked hard. He's continuing to work hard. This is a colt you're going to see really show up in the summer, I believe, simply because he's big. He's a big boy. He moves quick. Very, very happy with him. Horse that's been a little disappointing the last few weeks, been Fusspaw, right? She's really not a fan of the 1.5 miles. I might train her 2 trips on Wednesday to see if she enjoys 2 trips better. She feels very strong the entire mile, and then as that 3rd lap continues on, she fizzles out a little bit. And she was actually tired yesterday. Now the wind hit her. It was muddy. She went through the mile marker with a bow on her neck, but just kind of fizzled away after that. And I wasn't very happy, and she's done that 3 times now. We did scope her after. There's nothing wrong with her. So maybe I'll train her 2 trips on Wednesday. You know, as I said, these horses are very subjective, and every horse is a little bit different. For the most part, we train every horse 1.5 miles, but that odd time, we just have some horses that don't like it. My biggest concern would be, why doesn't she like it? But we'll see. I'm going to change her training regimen up a little bit, and we'll see what happens with Fusspot. Still very fast, very, very quick filly. Looked great yesterday. Just a little upsetting with the fizzling out on the end of the mile. Giddy Up Max, end of the 1.5 miles. Giddy Up Max trained great again yesterday. This horse is really coming on. One of those horses you don't really see coming. I think you're going to see him coming when he starts to put some real muscle on, some real weight on. You know, probably 3-4 weeks from now, you're really going to get an eye opener from Giddy Up Max. But he does everything right now, and that's very important. Globe Trotting, here's a filly who did everything right yesterday. My goodness, she looked really, really good. I was surprised the trip she went. We were really trotting on the end of it, and she kept coming and coming and coming and never let up, and then passed me in the last turn. I come back out, and I always make sure they go back around. Now, Sebastian Ray had made a break, spotted the field at a country mile, caught up. I let him relax for 1/8 of a mile, put him in gear, cleared to the front, stopped him up again, put him in gear again when Globetrotting came. Sebastian Ray was very, very impressive yesterday, but Globetrotting did her work well, grinded him out, and I think might have get up and beat me. Maybe not, but she was right there, and then did go by me in the turn. She's getting it together now, this filly. She's really starting to look good. Harness AM, you have made my list. And this isn't a bad list. Just a list I want to take a closer look at some of these horses. There's 2 weeks in a row now that Harness AM's made a break. This is a filly that was flawless before. I saw her when I jogged her the other day. She's switching her leads. I think she's touching herself a little bit. We're going to be able to work on that with her. I will be going with her this week. So that's 5 on the list so far. Havana Unana, she looked fantastic, didn't she? Looked really, really good. She was trotting with me the whole way. We were going a big last half, and I really like this filly. She's built stronger. Now, how do I say this? She's built bigger, so it's going to take her a little more time to get muscle on her body. But very, very happy with Havana Unana. Hometown Boys, no hobbles yesterday. Mark Treffy had said, no hobbles, question mark. I said, he doesn't need them really. Just needs to pay attention. Mario thought when he goosed him there, you know, obviously he's lazy, you got to pick and chew at him. He said, you know, when I goosed him, he just made a break, and he said he's trotting really good though. So catching up. I think when the sun hits us and you know, we really put some of that hard labor muscle on them, I think you'll see Hometown Boys come forward. But happy with the way his progression. I wish obviously he was one of our best horses. He was certainly one of our most expensive ones, but I'd be happier to see him come forward and do a little more work than he's been doing. I'll Play It Alone was good yesterday. Danny said he took the Murphy off. He was still on the right line. Hi, babe. He was still on the right line a little bit. So all he did was he took it off. We can put it back on. Eve. Put it back. This isn't show and tell. Put those back. I'll Play It Alone was very, very strong yesterday, finishing off his mile, though. I trained this colt about a week ago. He's got a big engine in him. Little strong in the head. You know, he's got to wear a snake cord. They tried taking that off yesterday, and I told them that's not going to work. I'm not a fan of sitting them 5 lengths back as everybody does their work and then moving them once. That's not training, and that doesn't teach them anything. And I'll Play It Alone is going to get his work done properly this work. Doesn't need to be on my list because he's a very talented colt. But we're going to be keeping a close eye on him. Inland Beach went good again yesterday. This is a filly that wowed everybody. Honey, keep it down, babe. This is a filly that wowed everybody. Oh, yeah, that seat's got to go in the trunk. Can you put it in the trunk for me?
I don't know how to open the trunk.
Yeah, the little button there. You just touch the little button. Ollie can open it for you. So Inland Beach. Ollie, can you open the trunk for me, buddy? So Inland Beach was very, very good last week. Ricky went with her yesterday. Said, she was okay. Ricky didn't have a great day on the track, but Inland Beach was fantastic 2 weeks ago. I got a real good look at her, and she was very, very strong. Very impressed with what I've seen from this filly. Ava, go put it in the trunk now, honey. And very happy with the way she's been progressing. Jailhouse Master. Now here's a horse that is no, you go do it. Here, you go do it.
Why?
Here's because I asked you to.
Why?
Here's a horse that is on. No, you.
Why?
Here's a horse that is on the sale list.
You have to go to the other side.
Here's a horse that is on the sale list, but really, probably has progressed enough where he may not even need to be on the list. He's gotten much, much better over the last couple of weeks. Very impressed with the way this horse come. And you all know I'm a huge fan of Jailhouse Master, just because of his. Ollie, I'm doing. No. Take it in. No, I need to drop it off, bud. So just leave it there. Give it to me.
Yeah, but then I can't.
My video has been taken over by my children. That's enough. No. So, Jailhouse Master has been very, very good, and I've been very, very happy with him. Johan, what kind of a trip did him and Knockdown Dragout go yesterday? Everybody keeps saying, how fast they go, how fast they go. I'm not telling you. I'm not telling you how fast it went. I know somebody said, well, the other trainers, the other farms, Blake McIntosh has a timer on his. I know what happens. Everybody gets all tied up in how fast they go, and they think they should go faster next week, and if they don't go faster, what's wrong with the horse? Speed means nothing. Nothing. Means nothing. Now, it doesn't mean you go out and train them in 2-1, but we work the horses, and I evaluate the horses after the training session. I can tell you now that almost every horse that we're training that looks decent to good to okay has been in 2:18 or 2:20. I can tell you that. They've also gone 1.5 miles. I can tell you that. I'm not very concerned with the speed they go. I'm concerned with how they do it. And Johan and Knockdown Drago, you could see they were tired yesterday, but the wind was so strong. If you watched, Curtis couldn't even get up the stretch with the drone. I watched the video last night. He's way back watching it from behind, and the reason he's doing that is because he can't catch up. The wind was too high. The horse is at 1.5 miles speed, 1.5 miles distance, the speed they were going. It's hard on them. But it wasn't too much speed. It was just enough work. And that's why I want to go back again today, make sure they cleaned up their breakfast. They all seem sharp. Johan was sharp as a tack after. It's some kind of nice horse here. And I think you guys know that. I don't have to, toot the stable horn when we have some talented horses. We clearly have some talented horses. And Johan and Knockdown Dragout were two that were definitely on display yesterday. Just for me and you, gave her the day off, put a little blister on her. She was running in a little bit. Now, this all started to take place when we took the corks off her. So I'm thinking, for the most part, it was a transition from the grab she was used to using to no grab on the shoes. Oliver, stop. To no grab on the shoes, and just needs a little transition time. I went a mile with her in 25, but she was on the line a little bit, running in a little bit. As I said, we put a little blister on her, made a few little shoeing adjustments. I think she'll be back to herself. Now, like her, you'll see Miss Mischief Maker looks a little weak right now. When you lose that time, it really shows. It's going to take Miss Mischief Maker another 2 or 3 training sessions to get back up where she needs to be. Very happy with her, and I'm sure Just For Me and You will bounce back in no time at all. Talked about Knockdown Dragout when I talked about Johan. Ava. I talked about Knockdown Dragout when I talked about Johan. Knockdown Dragout goes without saying. This has been, and we have owners of Knockdown Dragout say, why isn't she the #1 horse? Well, she pretty near is every week. And I think overall, if we're going to step back and say, who's been the best horse in the stable all year? It's been Knockdown Dragout. Every single week she shows up. Every week. Yes, he's in Ohio. He's a 3-year-old. These are the babies. So Knockdown Dragout has been tremendous. All year long. I don't remember the last time she went a bad training mile. So yeah, some horses I think have trained better in weeks, but not every week. And Knockdown Dragout has. She shows up and she takes good cuts at the plate every single time she goes on the track. So she was very good again. Libero Hanover, I didn't catch up to Danny, but he didn't tell me he was bad. Now, John Wetland the other day, and he made the rarest of rare breaks for Libero Hanover. I know he didn't. I don't think he broke yesterday. Danny, I didn't get the chance to catch up to Danny and ask him how Libero Hanover was. I assume he was good. I would have known if he 1, he was awesome, or 2, he was no good. I didn't get a chance to catch up to him yet. He didn't make a point to come and talk to me about him. I assume he went very well. The horse that did go very well was McPherson Thunder. Now, just to set the table here, last drone session, shh, guys. Last drone session, McPherson Thunder was way back. I told Mario, I said, you can't do that. I said, all people see is McPherson Thunder way back. I know he wasn't ready to go probably a mile with those horses. What I should have done is had him go his own drone session by himself, because there was nobody going as slow. Hey, can you hold on to this for me, honey? There was nobody going as slow as McPherson Thunder was going to go. So Mario just kept him back and went his own mile. But everybody's like, what happened to McPherson Thunder? Nothing. But he shouldn't have been in that set. We should have put him in his own set. That's my fault. So I told Mario yesterday, I said, I want him moved. I want him in the set, and he definitely moved him. And he said, you know, he's not an easy horse. And I said, no, I know he's not easy. That's why you go with him. And he went with him, and he looked very, very good. Mario did a great job with the horse yesterday, and the horse did a great job. This horse starting to come around and look like the horse we bought him to be. We traded for him to be. So McPherson Thunder was very good yesterday. Marzank Hanover I went with. Made a little speed break in the last turn. She was going to pace right through her Buxton. This filly's got a big, big motor in her. Little bully at the start. We're going to put a snake cord in her mouth. This is a problem where a lot of the trainers, they'll go with the horses and they'll try and hold them in place. I don't want them to do that. I want them to let the horses coast up on the guy's back, the guy's shoulder in front of them, and learn to relax. And you're not teaching them anything by pulling and pulling and pulling on them. Think of it this way. You can't race a horse and wrestle with a horse. It's impossible. So what I need the horses to do, leave, sit. You look at a horse like Fusspot, you look at a horse like Johan, they might be hot sometimes, but when you drop them in a hole, they'll coast up on the horse's shoulder and they'll sit and they'll relax. You'll see the lines start to go loose because they know what they're doing. They're getting ready to move. And some of these other horses, they get pulling and fighting on them. I don't want them to do that. So a couple of these horses I've talked to the trainers about that I can see these mistakes. I can see these things transpiring, and I've told them, don't do that. And this horse is definitely one of those horses. She gets a little bully. Now, for a little horse, she tucks that little Mach 3 head in, and she wants to fight with you. But when you put her in gear, man, oh man, can she pace. She was really making it around the last turn. I think I was going to blow right by them. She just got out of gear a little bit, got running in, got to put a head pull on her, snake cord on her, and I think a little set of earplugs on her, and old Marzank will be just fine. I know Daryl's out there watching this. Daryl, this filly was putting some kind of big move on them in the last turn when she made a break yesterday. Master Treaty, just okay, right? Old Master. He needs to do a little more work to show up. So we are going to be working with Master Treaty and working to get him proper over the next few months. Maybe a horse that might end up in the sale also. I never thought about it till right now because a client owns this horse and wanted us to continue with him. I'm going to have to make a phone call just to see if he still does. But Master Treaty's got some work to do. McNugget definitely on the list. There's nothing I can say about McNugget. I'm not going to continue to stick up for mediocrity. And she's got 30 days. That's what McNugget has. 30 days to pull her pants up, get to work. And if she doesn't, I can't protect her. She's going to be heading to Ohio a little bit earlier than the stake season, and that will be for the sale on the 14th. Miss Brampton Beast, she's not going to be going to any sale. Holy jeepers. She looked unbelievable yesterday.
Can I use that?
Yes. She looked, oh wait, no, I have to check my pocket. She looked on, we're going in a second. It's just a 32 minutes and then I'll turn it off. Miss Brampton Beast was the strongest horse in the facility yesterday. She looked like a 3-year-old training with 2-year-olds. This is some kind of nice horse. She's got a great attitude. She's got an engine that any 2-year-old any trainer would love a 2-year-old to have. I just can't foresee a scenario. The only way Miss Brampton Beast isn't a good horse is if she's just not a good horse. If we get her to the races and she plateaus at 58 or 57, that's the only way this filly won't be a good horse, and I just don't see that happening. She does everything so effortlessly, so easily. It's something. It really is something. She's a very, very nice filly. Miss Brampton Beast, and I've said this. All the shares are gone now, but I've said this time and time and time again. I don't know how it took this long for all the shares to sell out. I'll tell you a little story about another horse. I might have said this already. Another horse who had shares left in May of his 2-year-old year for some reason, and I was talking about him back in January, and the shares stayed there and stayed there and stayed there. Finally, somebody scooped them all up. Horse by the name of Lawmaker. And Miss Brampton Beast, I'm certainly not trying to draw conclusions. There's quite a stretch between what Lawmaker's accomplished and what Miss Brampton Beast is doing, but not to mention different gates. she seems like a very, very nice filly. So those of you that own her, I hope you have a lot of fun with her this summer. She definitely shows a lot of talent, to say the least. Miss Mischief Maker, still a little weak, coming back. We're going to make a few little shoeing changes to help her out also, but trotting good, just a little weak. I might actually only train her a mile next week. She wasn't super comfortable in the end of the mile yesterday. I want to take a very, very close look at her, but I think it's just she missed some time. She got injured. Missing time and missing time because you're injured are not the same. And Mischief Maker is a filly that I held in very, very high regard all year. Still do. Still think she's one of her best. She just lost a step when she missed that time when she was injured. Muscle Chrome will end off this portion of our list. We have obviously a little longer list today. Muscle Chrome, we put a blister on Muscle Chrome and her knees were this big. Muscle Chrome is battling some minor issues, some maturity issues, some legitimate maturity issues. Very well-bred filly with a great work ethic. She's put on a lot of weight. She's put on a lot of muscle, and she's struggling a little bit to stay sound because, and I talked to Mario about this. They had the mother, Mario and Ben, and Mario said her mother had problematic knees also. So it's just a matter of not pushing when you shouldn't be pushing, and pushing when you can. So that's where a horse like Cheatin' Dixie and Muscle Chrome are at right now. So that's it for this part of the list. I'll be back in a minute, starting off with Nancy Allison. Lots to talk about with her and the rest of the horses on the list. We'll be back in just a minute. Well, we're here. We just finished eating breakfast. I'm going to get the last few of these done so we can get these videos uploaded and sent out tonight and on time. We're back with Nancy Allison. Now, Nancy Allison, I talked about in the outset. She made a little bit of a break yesterday. Kind of a rare break for her. Lately, she's been so good for so long. It's been 5-6 weeks since we've seen Nancy Allison make any mistakes. She did touch her, so you can wear, for those horsemen out there, you know, scalpers. Well, she didn't have scalpers on yesterday, and she punched a little hole right here in her pastern, just down almost to her foot, to her cornet band. Not a big deal. Obviously, you can put a set of scalpers on there. I would suspect that's what happened. She just kind of touched it, bit her a little bit, and she just rolled off stride. Not a big deal. We'll get her back in the swing of things. The norm for Nancy Allison of late next week. Need your opinion. Keeps going good, this filly, You just don't pay attention to her. She keeps getting better and better and better. I think Ricky went with her yesterday. He ended up first over into Danny when I made a break with Marzanne Canaver, and we were pacing around that last turn. This little filly's starting to look really good. So, Need Your Opinion was good again yesterday. Olympic Hopeful. The old wind tired Olympic Hopeful out, and I know the hobbles were on tight yesterday. I almost said to Danny, hey, loosen those hobbles up, but I said, I don't want her making a break. So he left them alone, and she got pretty tired in them. She went a good mile, and then the last quarter to 3/8 of the last half, she was a little bit tired. The last quarter, I'd say. Where are we at? Overdue Mission. Made a little miscue yesterday, and I know everybody's going to say, well, she makes a lot of miscues. You're right, she does. But, Oliver, you're right, she does make a number of miscues, but she's getting a little bit better. Mario and I talked about it yesterday. Ollie, stop now, please. Mario and I talked about it yesterday and said, you know, she doesn't like that head pull. Every time she leans up on it, that's when she makes a break. So we'll fix that. She's going to wear a head pull every day next week, a little sharper than the one she had on yesterday. She is going to learn to wear that head pull and be a good girl. Other than that, she tried a good last half of a mile. I think Mario said he came the last half in 106 after she made a break, which is obviously a pretty good mile in a jog cart for a horse that just made a break and had already gone a mile. Path of Totality was very, very good yesterday. Notice she was biting that left line. I bet you she got a little bit sore on her left side. For whatever reason, she was running out. We're going to change her gear around a little bit and get that squared away for her. But very strong yesterday. Very sound. Looked great. Looked very, very good, this filly. I thought when I pulled up, maybe she was touching that left jack. That's why she was on the left line so hard. It was more of a bruise than anything else. Come on, guys. It was more of a bruise than anything else. But it turns out, when I watched the video a few more times, pretty sure she's just on that line. She probably got a little bit sore in her mouth and ended up running out worse because of it. We can change that and treat that. It's very, very simple to do. Pine Creek didn't go yesterday. As I said in the minor injuries report, She was a little picky with her food last week, so we did get her some ulcer medication. We put it on her, and she started eating better right away. Obviously, we don't want to start treating them for ulcers already, and Pine Creek did end up on the sale list, but I saw her on the track jogging the last week. I thought she looked really, really good, so I'm excited to get her on this ulcer medication, get her eating really good, see if we can put some weight on her, and I'll train her next Wednesday and Saturday and see how she turns out. Really Blue Chip, you can see how that wind really sucked the life out of them yesterday. Really Blue Chip was our best horse on the property the last drone session, and yesterday she looked a little tired going under the wire. So we had mentioned earlier another horse that might have EPM. This is a filly. She's always a little frail over her back. And Steve and the caretaker Chris had come to me and said a couple of times, you know, she is a little frail, but she does eat a lot. It is a little concerning. Not a big deal. I mean, we can treat her with Baycox. And we can treat her with Baycox and get that all cleaned up, guys. Don't. And get that all cleaned up for the summer. But still a great training mile. Just a little really Blue Chip like yesterday, wasn't it? Rocking Out Loud, mediocre mile. This is a filly that probably will be entered in the sale. She is entered in the sale, and she's got a lot of work to do to not make it onto that truck. She's been ordinary for quite a while. She's got a bad attitude. She needs to mature a little bit, but overall, Rocking Out Loud, just unimpressive so far. So she literally is on the clock. 30 days for her. Rooney Blue Chip has been impressive. Now Ricky went with him yesterday and made a break. I'll go with this horse on Wednesday and Saturday. Excuse me. Are you guys done? Thank you. Rooney Blue Chip. I'll go with. He's made a few little breaks the last little while. I think that transition from the winter cork onto the other shoes is a little trying for him. And the reason it's important and the reason it's a little trying for him is that grab will hold them on the track. They'll hit the track and they'll change their gait. With no grab or less grab on, they slide a lot more, which means they might be a little more prone to interfering as they pick up speed or slow down speed. And if you see where Rooney Blue Chip is making these miscues, it's coming out of the turn where they would accelerate, where they would switch their leads, and he is making a few little breaks. Rose Run Valiant trained really well yesterday. You can see this horse start. I believe that testicle was bothering that horse. Remember I said it was twisted. The vet told us it was twisted. His gait looks better. His gait looks better. Danny thought he was very strong yesterday. Another horse that I don't think he needs to be on my list, but I would be curious to go with him at some point in the next week. I'm just going to put Old Piner on my list now. I would be curious to go with this horse just because he looks strong now. I'd like to see how powerful he actually is. So I'd say sometime in the next week to 10 days, I'll go with Rose Run Valiant and get a good look at him. Horse I was pretty impressed with yesterday was Amy Nice filly, Rose Run Versatile. Now, she did make a break, and after she made the break, James said, she got a little pacey on me and run. But he had her doubled up, and we took all the weight off of her. Because she was wearing the hobbles, I could feel she was just tiring herself out in the hobbles. We lightened her right up. We put a set of aluminums and flip-flops on her, which is not something necessarily that you see on 2-year-old trotting colts or fillies. Very rare. Yeah, at the races.
No.
Oliver, that's enough.
I put them on.
So Rose Run Versatile, as I was saying, Amy was just interrupting me and said White Tiger wore aluminums with flip-flops. Now that may not mean anything to you, and but it does because they're both by the same sire. So Rose Run Versatile definitely looked much more comfortable yesterday. I watched the video again. She was flying on the end of the mile and looked really, really good. James was very happy with her overall, so I'm happy. Sebastian Ray obviously made that little miscue. As I said, I don't like when you let the horses coast up onto the people's backs in front of them and they throw their head. Many times, sometimes they're a little skittish, which we can put a martingale on them, which we will. And other times it's because they're not used to it, and that's a problem for me as a trainer. Our trainers are supposed to have their horses right up on the shoulders of the trainers in front of them. If they don't, that angers me quite a bit. And Sebastian Ray, I probably won't go with him next week because mechanically he was flawless. He was perfect. He made that little break just because he threw his head, made a little break. It had nothing to do with him trotting. You could see when I put him in gear how strong and powerful this colt really is. But whoever goes to them next week, I'll be having a talk with them before they go on the track. Sebastian Yu, really rough around the edges, but man, oh man, is this a powerful colt. This colt 3 or 4 times could have made a break in the mile and caught himself. His confidence is soaring right now, and he is strong. Oliver, I guess you don't want to go to the batting cages. It's okay. Well, you must not, because you don't want to behave. Well, then sit up and be a good boy for the next 3 minutes, or you're not going. So, that's Discipline 101. Batting cages for behaving.
It's bribery.
Amy says it's bribery. It's good old-fashioned negotiation, I think. Anyway, Sebastian Yu, I went with this horse yesterday. I had trouble with him. He'd get really strong in the face, and he's not really good at following horses because he was a little bit bully, and Danny kept him off horses all winter, but he was making breaks, so I can't really blame him for that. He's not making breaks now. He is to be on the horse's back and shoulder in front of him. And he was a little bully yesterday. He did settle down a little bit. A couple of times he almost made a break, and then he caught himself. When I put him in gear, Lord almighty, this horse does not get tired. Him and Miss Brampton Beast, and Mario and I just talked about this on the phone. There was another horse. Whose horse, he said? No, he said, I said Sebastian Yu. He said, oh, Enduring Strength. They were the only 3 horses that I thought were standouts through that wind yesterday, just powered through it. You can feel when the horses, that wind hits them, they first, it shudders them. But the horses that really get angry and dig right through it, that's impressive. And there was only 3 that I saw. Mario made point of Enduring Strength, and obviously Miss Brampton Beast. That was obvious to everybody. Miss Brampton Beast went through a muddy track. Later on, when Sebastian Yu went, the track was fast and hard. When Miss Brampton Beast did it, it was muddy. Miss Brampton Beast was very, very good. Sebastian Yu was very, very good. And Enduring Strength, very, very good yesterday. 3 horses that all powered right through the wind. So next, sometimes things happen. I know I talked about this also in the outset. This horse made a break. James couldn't stop talking about how good this horse trained with the hobbles on Wednesday. Yesterday was the first time he trained with under the drone with the hobbles on, and I let Mark Isabel go with him, and he should have just sat in and moved him once and let him trot. Instead, he started him up and stopped him and put him on the front, and then I can buy him. And anyway, it didn't matter. James, I wanted James to go with Roser and Versatile, I think is who he had in there, if I'm not mistaken. The horse James had in there, I needed him to go with. I couldn't go with the horse. James couldn't go with the horse, so Disco went with the horse, and he made a little break in the last turn, but was trotting very, very good. This colt looks leaps and bounds better than he did all year, and I know one of our good clients dumped his share of this horse yesterday. Maybe I'm wrong. I wouldn't have done that. So, sometimes things happen. We'll see how he progresses with the hobbles on, but I was very impressed with what I saw. I did make reference to 3 horses. I said there was only 3 horses that looked tremendous in the wind. That's false. There was 4. Because Spend That Money probably looked as good or better than anybody. I don't know why I forgot about this filly. She was so strong yesterday. Fastest mile of the day. I'm not telling you how fast she went. Fastest mile of the day. Looked very, very good. Very happy with the way Spend That Money handled herself very professionally. And I said this to James pulling up, looking at the way she runs out, coasts over, gets out of gear, and has made breaks on people. You know who she reminds me of? Oh So Pine. The exact same gait, exact same way she coasts over on the shafts and the straightaways and will make breaks. Oh So Pine is a bigger, stronger, but mirrored image of Spend That Money at this time last year.
Who's Oh So Pine?
He's in Ohio, babe. Spirit of Dio made a couple of breaks, and as I said to people, these won't be her last breaks. She's going to make breaks. James said, she might be a better 3-year-old than a 2-year-old. I said, yeah, that's what everybody says about horses. They can't get to trotter pace. She's fast right now. She's strong right now. We just have to keep her right. And I've said this. She's not balanced right. She doesn't feel great, but she's powerful. Big, strong filly. And I think it has a lot to do with the half-mile track. Just got to get her confidence up. If you look at a horse like Sebastian Yu, same thing, used to make breaks everywhere for no reason. Once you get them dialed in properly, their confidence starts to soar a little bit. Once it gets high, it's all business then. So Spirit of Dio, made a couple of breaks right in the point of the turn on a hard track yesterday. Probably your knees are a little bit open and bothering her. Probably your feet bothering her a little bit, much like a lot of other horses. But this is training, and it's nothing new for any of the horses. Spirit of Dio isn't off. She isn't lame. She's just growing. She's a big, big, big girl. So, there's no point complaining about Spirit of Dio. She made a break. And as I said, she's going to make other breaks. But when she's not breaking, she's doing her work really, really well. And we're just going to try and put more pluses on the scoreboard than negatives. So Spirit of Dio did make a break yesterday, but overall, I've been very impressed with her ability up to now. Sunshine and Shade, Mario and I talked about this for quite a while. Said he was a little flat yesterday. He had a little bit of mucus in his nose the day before we trained him. A little bit. He thought he was a little bit flat, and Steve said he was a little rolly. Track was muddy, and as I said, horses handle that adversity of the wind and the mud a little bit different than other horses. And you know, people said, "Well, those two trotters beat those pacers." This time of year, those pacers want no part of Johan and knockdown drag out. Probably a couple other trotters. The trotters are stronger, doing the work, and can accelerate. The pacers are still trying to learn how to do that in a quicker fashion. We had this last year. Our best trotters beat up on our best pacers, and the year before and the year before that, at this time of year, obviously it only stands to reason. Listen, I'd love nothing better than if the pacers were never fast enough to beat Johan and knock down Dragout. But I think they're going to have their hands full with them for a little bit. And obviously we went over this last year after what had happened, what I believed happened with Cruising in Style at 2. He was just that much better than everybody training down. He never got any adversity. He never got, you know, a punch. He never had to fight back because he was just more talented. And then when you get in with horses that did, Ava, stop. When you get in with horses that did, he didn't like it. And I don't know if it played a role in him making 180 instead of 480. Maybe he was just the best horse he could be. I don't know. He's a good horse. But I always had in my mind, I thought he could have been a better horse. And I wasn't going to let that happen again. Last year when White Tiger and those horses looked better, like Knockdown Dragout and Johan do right now, they trained against the pacers. I didn't want them thinking they were the fastest horses in the world, because they aren't. They likely aren't. It'd be great if they were, but they likely aren't. So they'll likely be training with pacers for the next little while. Susie K, she is on our sale list, but don't panic. Susie's a sweetheart. I said to everybody yesterday, just a little, her hobbles were loose when she went to train, and I told Steve that. He pulled them up a little bit, but I think he was still a little bit short, still a little bit long with the hobbles, and she just made a break in the places. She's always made breaks on Steve. Not really Steve's fault, but I had a pretty good feel where the hobbles needed to be on that filly, and when I eyeballed them going to go her mile, I said to him, they're still too loose. And she did make a break. She does need her hobbles tight. She does brush her knees. She does brush her hind shins. She doesn't do anything flawlessly. She's a worker, and she loves to trot, and she loves to train with other horses. She's not going to be a gold horse. She's going to be a fun little horse to drive if she gets to the races. So yes, she's on the sale list. Is she staying on it? I don't know. I don't think so as of now. But again, she's got 30 days. She's well on her way to proving more than enough to me. Tiamo Hanover was a very impressive horse yesterday. Had he not made that little skip over whatever the hell he was looking at on the track, he may have been one of the more impressive horses of the day. This horse got the hobbles on now, and this is only like the third, fourth time he's trained with them on. Just give this horse another couple of weeks. He's never trained like this. He's never trained the way we train. He's never trained at this distance. He's never done what he's doing right now, and he certainly didn't look at a place yesterday. Tiamo Hanover looked very, very good. Trafalgar made a break. Somebody said, what happened to Trafalgar? She didn't look that good. She looked great. Harry put her in gear in the turn when we were really starting to move. That's the problem, is that if you're sitting fifth in these training sets, getting into the last turn, you need your horse to, one, be just flat out faster than all the other horses in the set, or be able to accelerate in that far turn. And it's hard to make speed in that far turn. It just is. It's flat. It's tight. And Harry was just trying to put her in gear and just lost her. So it's not the end of the world. Trafalgar is one of the horses I have very, very high hopes for. Her sister Buckingham qualified the other day. This is a bigger, stronger version of Buckingham. Now, different sire, different horse, but Trafalgar, by all accounts, I think has got a very bright future in front of her. Time Old Dazzle looked good also yesterday. Very happy with Time Old Dazzle. Trained well. I watched the video again, went back and looked. Looked great. Very, very impressed with this filly. This is a big filly. Looks a lot like Canadian Titan, except she's a little more matured, a little more stronger. Canadian Titan, we talked about her earlier. No concerns with Canadian Titan. She's just a little flabby.
Canadian Titan.
Yeah, Ollie did bid on Canadian Titan, that's right. So Canadian Titan is just a little flabbier. Time Old Dazzle's starting to get a little more muscle on her. Just a little bit ahead even of Canadian Titan. Similar builds, though, and similar makes.
Daddy.
Similar makes, different models. Yes, honey.
I want to pick a horse horse in the sale like always.
Well, we can do that next year, honey. Time Al Kazam looked terrible yesterday. A lot of stuff going on with Time Al Kazam yesterday. They were up, changing the hobbles, changing this, changing that. I need to go with this horse. I get along really good with him. I like him. You need to let him accelerate when he's comfortable and not ask him to accelerate when he's not. And I think that in itself is where the problems arise in that colt. I've gone with him 3 times now, and 3 times right after somebody said he looked terrible. I've never seen a horse look better right now. Like, I trained him the other day as fast as any horse has been on the farm, and he was very, very good. So I'm giving yesterday a pass. Stop, Eve. I'm giving yesterday a pass, and I'm going to say that myself, Mario, or James will be going with this horse for the foreseeable future. It appears he's a little more complex than I believed he was for anybody else to go with. Yours, Oliver, yours if you want it. This is the craziest horse we got. He gives James fits. James gets along with him, but he gives James fits. If you watch the video, he'll be trotting along and just throw his head and goof around. Remind you of somebody? I had a horse last year that did that ended up equaling a world record with 3 chin chains on his nose because he wouldn't pay attention. Yours, if you want it, is a lunatic. Not crazy, not hot, just squirrely in the head. He'll be trotting along, going a quick half. And, like, horses have to focus to do this. And he'll just be trotting along. He was trotting by us in the 3-wide path yesterday. Just throwing his head, goofing around, and run. Can't be doing that. So we're gonna have to tinker with his headgear. You can't be rough with him either and put a brain cord on him. He just stops. He won't go. So a little bit of a goofball, but inch by inch we'll get him there. Very fast though. No lameness issues, no concerns. Very, very fast colt. Just have to get his head in the game. Utopian, we kind of broke him out yesterday, didn't we? Utopian looked very good and very strong yesterday. Was coming a little close to his knees. I'd said to the caretaker after, this guy needs knee boots from now on. But when I put him in gear, he is fast colt. He looked good. Watch Ev looked a little flat yesterday. I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn Watch Avenue. There's one other horse out, Bottle of Red. I'm going to turn them both out over where Cabernet is, just for 10 days. Just to freshen them up a little bit. Bottle of Red tied up her, got a little sick like 3-4 weeks ago, and she hasn't been awesome since. Not Bottle of Red like. She was one of her best fillies. Kind of sunk away. And I think she's just a little flat right now. So we're going to turn, I'm going to call Carol, message her when I get done with this video. I'm going to ask her if she can take Watch Avenue, a gelding, and Bottle of Red, a filly, out to that farm with her. Beautiful facility. I'm sure they got lots of grass there right now. Just freshen these 2 horses up. Watch Ab's a giant. He's a big boy, and he's going to go through growth spurts. And as I said, Bottle of Red just needs a little, just a little freshening, I believe. She's been going for longer than any of these other horses. Wiggle Delight made a very rare break yesterday. She got a little splint, and Mario said we had just taken the flip-flops off her. May have been nothing, but we're going to put them back on her just to make sure. James loves this filly and has been raving about her for months. I don't think I've gone with her, maybe once or twice, but everybody that goes with her likes her. I don't know what she did with Ricky yesterday. It was kind of an anomaly. He couldn't say anything. I looked at the video 2 or 3 times. Nothing really stood out to me. She just rolled off. And that can't happen. It won't happen again. What about our boy Willpower Fashion? Broke his maiden yesterday with a win. Very, very proud of my boy. Now, I made a break and maybe caused some confusion with Tiamo Hanover, but Willpower Fashion was there knocking on the door. Always got to be ready for that W, and Willpower Fashion was waiting to pounce. And he's not deep. I don't think Willpower Fashion is a killer. He's not equaling any world records, but he's going to be fun to drive. He's one of those handy type horses that'll just be a sweetheart to drive. And Danny loves him. I love him. I like what I see in him now. It really took a couple of weeks to really take to the hobbles. We made a few shoeing adjustments. Willpower Fashion looks great now. Very impressed with what I saw yesterday. Zeb Sunshine. I apologize. I made the video yesterday and I made reference to the fact that I didn't talk to Mario about Zeb Sunshine. I don't know what he did or how he did. I watched the video. He looked okay. I would like to see a little more spunk out of him, a little more pop out of him. But giving his breeding, I think we just have to keep him sound, keep him happy, keep him healthy, and he'll turn into a nice horse. Almost certain of that. Lots of speed in that horse. I did not get to talk to Mario, but if there was any issues, he would have brought them up immediately to me, as he did with a couple other horses. And just think he had a training day. That's the way it was. So that's all the babies. That's everything. You got lots to look at tonight. I don't know how many hours of videos you got to look at, but we got a minor injury report. We got a pretty decent opening. We got all the stables. We have a list of horses that I thought stood out yesterday. We have a list of horses that made miscues, and I told you why they did and explained what I saw from those miscues. Just explained everything in the stable. So, probably not our best week news-wise with the stable. Obviously, some horrible news, but we'll try and focus on the good and try to move past this. We'll chalk this up just to one of the horrible things that happen in life and one of the horrible things that happen in horse racing, but that's horse racing. So we'll be back next week. Might have a little video for you this week with a bunch more horses qualifying and schooling. A couple of horses getting really close. A couple of our big guns, Sunshine's Finest and White Tiger, getting very close to the races. Yeah.
Daddy, I have a white tiger.
Do you? I have a White Tiger too. Mine's better than yours.
No.
White Tiger, yeah, White Tiger and Sunshine's Finest getting close, and Stonebridge Simba really wowed me training the other day. Jody Jameson went with him, and he looked really good. So, a lot going on still, a lot of qualifiers going on. I made note earlier to it, and I'll make it again. We just scratched 2 horses last night because Jason's grooms came into the burn. Jason's grooms, that's right, Jason's grooms come into the burn, and 2 coffee cups had blown in the stall with Arvika and Bay Jewel. Now, that might sound innocuous, might sound a little silly, but in coffee is caffeine. Caffeine is an immediate positive test. It's a 6-month suspension and a $5,000 fine. I don't know how much caffeine any horse has to ingest, but we weren't taking any chances. So, not blaming anybody, but if you do come to the barn, you want to feed the horses carrots and apples, you are always welcome. Always welcome. Just be aware of your surroundings, though. Anything outside of carrots and apples, anything with any medicine or medications that are in it, stuff that could even be on your hands, just be aware. Be vigilant, because one minor mistake can have extremely negative ramifications here at the stable, and we certainly don't want to have to watch our barns closer than we do. We do have cameras up. Maybe you knew that or didn't know that. We do have cameras up, and we'll have other cameras being up. We don't do it for any other reason, just to make sure that things don't go on at the barn that shouldn't be. And I know that if somebody did happen to put their coffee down on a trunk or at the door, maybe there wasn't a garbage set up. It's nobody's fault. It's just an accident. It was a very windy night, and it appears that the wind blew the coffee cups into the stall. Can't take any chances with that stuff. So please, if you're visiting the barn, especially when you're here on Mother's Day, be aware of your surroundings. Be aware of the medications on your hands, in your pockets, in the things that you're carrying. You're welcome to give the horses all the horse treats and all the carrots and apples you want, but just be aware, please, because this day and age of testing is very precise and it is unforgiving. So, that's the week. It's all done. We'll be back next week. I'll probably give you another little qualifying report middle of the week. For me, I'm off to Ohio tomorrow afternoon, Monday afternoon. I'm going to go race West 52nd in the final. Yes made the final. For those of you concerned about the way that Oso Pine raced, he did scope full of mucus. Not full, but he had some. And then we took his blood. His liver count was up. His GGT was up. And any trainer out there that knows when your GGT is a little high, your horsey's very slow. So it's easy to fix. These are all things that are attributed to a virus probably that went through Oso Pine either before or during or after shipping. But he'll bounce back quickly, and we'll be into the stake season in no time. Talk to you guys soon. Hope you had a great weekend.